I need my fix.
Get your fix.
I can stop anytime I want. Liar! I can stop anytime I want. Oh god, here we go.
Make it look
all
good.
Right.
Oh, you're gonna show
I don't
us
know how
the
to
card.
do this.
Please.
I don't know how to do this.
Oh, dude, not gonna lie, you're tickling my tism a little bit by doing
You're
this.
what? Welcome everyone. I'm spending my hard-earned 151 cash on this.
Oh, there we go, baby. Daisy's help.
Please be good. Let's pull something. Let's pull something. Okay.
Hey, that.
All right.
That's something. That was actually pretty good. That's
a golden switch.
You can put it in your decks.
I can.
Great pull. Great. What a great way to start off episode 5 of Critical Hits. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. My name is Pokey Scout.
I'm Genelite Gaming.
And thank you guys so very much for joining us today because we do have some heavy topics of conversation today. Number 1, Genelite, tell the people what were we discussing and what has been the topic of conversation the last, hour.
You and I, we went on an exploratory conversation of now that Scarlet and Violet is starting to end, because they announced, right, Mega Evolution is the next series and it's ending with Black Bolt and White Flare.
Yes, they did.
We were starting to get a little reminiscent. We were getting a little nostalgic. We're like, well, you know what? What was better? Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet? And it was a bit of a roller coaster, actually, for both of us, huh?
It was.
Yeah.
I would have to agree, man, because I think we both hold Sword and Shield so near and dear to our hearts because we met as friends in the Sword and Shield era and we bonded over Chilling Pain. I think that was one of the sets that we actually enjoyed together and we talked about, and we told people forever that it was an underrated set with underrated artwork.
It was. That was our coup de grace. That was our I told you so moment that we got to rub that in everybody's face because we knew nobody else liked it at all. I mean, we got crazy good deals because you and I were buying it up. That's honestly how we're able to afford half of our collections, is the fact that we were super into Chilling Reign and it did really well after.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was that. And then, of course, Evolving Skies. Everybody knew Evolving Skies was going to be great, right? And there can be arguments made that Evolving Skies is hands down the greatest set. And I'd be bold enough to say that Evolving Skies is the modern first edition base set. I'd be bold enough to say that at this point, and I'd say that the Moonbryon in the Grail Chase, I'll say a Black Label Moonbryon is the first edition Shadowless Charizard, right? And I'm going Beckett just because, that card just sold for $14,000, maybe $13,000. I'll double check on that. But no, we were talking about Sword and Shield, right? And you just brought it up, comparing the two Titans that we're going against. Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, which one is better and why? Yeah,
and it's funny. I think we both started with Scarlet and Violet, actually. I did, definitely. I was like, I think Scarlet and Violet might be better. And I flipped it. Basically, the reason I think, my main reason for flipping was I started to go back through and look at Sword and Shield. And the most underrated aspect of Sword and Shield to me is the Galarian trainer galleries and just the trainer galleries in general. I started to look back through those cards and I was comparing those to like illustration rares. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think they're better. They are better artworks. I don't know why they're so cheap, right? You had a theory around that.
Yes, and I would say that the majority of the trainer galleries are as cheap as they are, and this is a dumb reason, but I think it is the real reason, and it's because of the borders, right? When you think about it, at the time of Sword and Shield, the borders, the hits, all boiled down to the silver border or the rainbow border. That's when you knew you had a hit, right? If you saw a black border, it was usually a V. If you got lucky enough and you were opening a set that had a trainer gallery, it could be one of the trainer gallery cards. And the whole purpose of the trainer gallery set, what I assume was the whole purpose, was the prelude to illustration rares, right? And bringing back trainer Pokemon, because when you look at it and you look at a set like the trainer gallery from Lost Origin, you see the Zekrom trainer gallery, right? And N is riding the Zekrom. It is the N Zekrom of the Sword and Shield era. And now that card has...
It's just not called that.
Yeah, and well, now that card has, a market price of like $15. And when that trainer gallery came out, I remember handing it off because it was a $2 card. You know what I mean? It made no difference in the grand scheme of things. But I have to say that the borders, because a lot of the trainer galleries had yellow borders. And don't tell me that every collector at the time wanted yellow bordered cards. We didn't. In Sword and Shield, we wanted the silver borders that were the alternate arts or corresponding to the alternate arts, or the tag teams from Sun and Moon, because people were still chasing full arts from Hidden Fates. They were still chasing full art trainers, right? So I think the borders made a massive difference, and I think the reason they went to silver borders, or the same border for cards in Scarlet and Violet, was to take negative attention away from these artworks. I think they wanted every card to be a banger, right? As seen in the eyes of the customers. They really wanted this increase in price, the increase in demand of Pokemon cards. So yeah, that's my theory. My theory is that the borders are the reason that these cards are so cheap, because take that Gengar Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. It is now a $15 or $20 card. Why hasn't it always been a $15 or $20 card? Same with the Charizard. It's because of the yellow border, dude.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because they just didn't do a good job of marketing them. Like, Ens Reshiram reads so differently than just Zekrom. And if you look at the artworks, don't get me wrong, I love the Ens Reshiram card, just to be clear. I think that's a completely different topic. I think they botched that by making that a box topper. I am so pissed about that, because if that card would have just been an alternate art, or a special illustration rare, it would have had astronomical rarity and value, and I think it deserves that. I'm not here saying that every card needs to be expensive, but there are certain cards that you want to have value associated to it. And that's one of them for me. But if you look at the Zekrom, that Zekrom, it's sick. And it just says Zekrom, but it's got N writing it. And I was like, if you just put N's Zekrom, it probably doubles the card's price, right? And then you take away the yellow border, to your point, and it doubles again. And now from a $15 card, what's a double-double? 15 to 30, 30 times 2 is 60. So like $60 card. So I don't know. And you and I, one of the things I was doing too is Scout bears with me a lot when we're going through these conversations, because I was looking at the comparison between, I think Zacian is going to be like a top tier legendary in the coming years. I think all the kids that are growing up right now, their favorite legendary is Zacian. It is a dog with Excalibur. I mean, think about that for a second. Like, as much as we love Lugia, if you take a dog wearing a crown with Excalibur versus a weird water bird that I love, which one's just objectively cooler?
I'd have to say Zacian. And then when you compare it to the other legendaries like you've done previously, Zacian, the other legendaries don't hold a torch to Zacian whatsoever.
Right, and Zamazenta actually is pretty sick too. So we were looking at Hop's Zacian in Scarlet and Violet, and we were looking at just the Zacian in the trainer gallery that has Hop in it. This trainer card is better. You can't look at me and tell me that this card isn't better than the Hop's Zacian. Hop's Zacian's like 3 times the value. It makes no sense. Doesn't make any sense to me. So all that being said, we don't know what Black Bolt and White Flare are going to bring. Well, we do actually. And those cards, the all black Zekrom and the all white Reshiram, that would be the only reason I give the edge to Scarlet and Violet. That would be the only reason I do it, because Sword and Shield didn't do anything like that, right? That we haven't seen anything. Like, Sword and Shield had the alternate arts, they had the Galarian Gallery and the Trainer Galleries, all those are really sick, but they were sets and series. There are very few series that have their own card, like the Dialga and Palkia. You know exactly which ones I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. I agree entirely, because I think it's that mechanic that you're referring to, of that solid color, that full art, right? That is blows my mind when people start finding these old XY full arts, or these old black and white full arts that, there are all the all blue cards, right? The Deoxys that you don't like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are going to start seeing those cards, and those are going to skyrocket in price. I know you don't love it. But yeah, you look at that, and you look at the transition that they made into Scarlet and Violet. To end the Scarlet and Violet era with 140 illustration rares is maddening. I can't, like the sheer scale of that. I feel, on one hand, that it's really good for the Scarlet and Violet era. What a hell of a way to end the era. But I also feel like it saturates illustration rares. I feel like what the trainer galleries did really well from the Sword and Shield era is that it didn't feel over saturated. When you pulled a trainer gallery, you were like, oh my god, this is a pull. And then now in Scarlet and Violet, you pull an illustration rare and you're like, yeah, this is a pull. But which illustration rare is? You know what I mean? Like, is it the $5 illustration rare? Is it the $50 illustration rare? I mean, no, realistically, that's what it is right now. Whereas compared to when we were opening it in Sword and Shield, when I pulled a trainer gallery, dude, I was over the moon because I love that partner Pokemon aspect. Nobody talked about them being partner Pokemon cards back in Sword and Shield, right? Because nobody looked back on, Gym Challenge and Gym Heroes and thought, well, you know what? They did just remake Koga's Beedrill, or, this is N Zekrom, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, and I think that is why the Hops Zacian is much better than just the standard Zacian in people's eyes, is because, one, they declared it a special illustration rare, so it automatically has a higher rarity.
Well, that's exactly it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, there are so many people that pulled that stupid Flapple. The trainer gallery Flapple. And so I think that's the problem, right? Is like, to your point, I will say this. I'm not so sure I agree with the rarity disparity. Wow, that's a rhyme. The rarity disparity between right? Thank you. Between the trainer galleries and the IRs. Remember, the trainer galleries were not that hard to pull. And I think that was one of the other issues, is like, you could go through, you could pull a lot of trainer galleries. That's what made it fun.
You could.
Right?
Yes.
So I want to challenge that a little bit. But what I think is going to be super interesting, I like to think about what's unique, right? Because uniqueness always comes back. It always comes back, right? So Sword and Shield was the last of the yellow borders.
Yep.
Scarlet and Violet is the first of the silver borders.
Yes.
I don't know which one is going to win out in regards to what's more unique. But what I will say, there are very few cards in the entire Pokemon TCG that have the same art style as the trainer galleries, where it's a full picture and then a yellow border. It almost reminds me of like a Polaroid, where it's like the picture and then the heavy white border. Yeah. And people used to make fun of Polaroids. And then all of a sudden, people are like, wait, that's retro, that's sick. And then they became more expensive than a digital photo.
Yeah.
There could be a chance here that down the line, people actually go back and they miss the yellow border. It reminds them of nostalgia, and it's a full art, right? It's a full art with a yellow border, and they're like, wait, these are sick, and these are the only cards like this.
That's fair. I mean, that's what's happening with the Gengar and the Charizard. Now, it is Gengar and Charizard from Lost Origin.
Right.
But those cards, I mean, they were like sub $3, and now they're both selling for like $15. And I do like your Polaroid comparison, but I personally would go for the black borders, like the Galarian Articuno, Galarian Zapdos, the Misty's. Well, it's not Misty's Starmie, it's just Starmie V, and then the Garchomp.
But it has Misty all over it. Yeah.
Exactly, right. But I can't get over just how awesome those trainer galleries were. And I will retreat a little bit on saying, they were the rarity comparison, because yes, we did pull a lot of trainer galleries, but when you think about it, like the rarity inside the trainer gallery, I didn't pull a lot of Starmie V and Garchomp V from Astral Radiance out of the trainer gallery. And when I pulled one of those, it felt like pulling an alternate art. It 100% did.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The black borders were a higher rarity for sure.
Yes, yeah. So I think we'll have to meet in the middle there and say that the yellow borders were definitely a lower rarity, a part of the trainer gallery, while the black borders were a higher rarity, but not as high as the alternate art. So I think there was definitely a happy medium there, kind of like the Galarian Gallery from Crown Zenith, where the Galarian Gallery, it literally split in half. TG1 to TG34 were yellow borders, right? And they were pulled fairly often, while 35 to 70 were a much higher disparity, right? Everything from, the Registar or Regigigas V-Star, right, to the Arceus V-Star. But yeah, dude, I think that people are going to look back on the Sword and Shield set sooner rather than later and realize that the trainer galleries are where it's at. Like the illustration rares, and I love illustration rares, they are great, but the artworks, those trainer Pokemon artworks, I think as we get more of them in the Scarlet and Violet era and get more special illustration rare versions, people are going to look back and say, you know what, these are really cool. But check out this black border card with the trainer, right? It doesn't say, Hops Zacian, but it is Zacian. It doesn't say, Hops Zamazenta or whatever, right? But people are going to want it. I think Sword and Shield is I don't think it's anywhere near like peak prices right now. I think it can only go up, but it's about how fast it's going to go up. And I think if people aren't careful, they're going to miss out on monetary. They're going to miss out on some massive gains. I'm just saying that for the monetary purposes. But a part of their collection, they're going to miss some really affordable cards that are really good artworks, dude.
I mean, you know me, I'm a master set guy.
Oh yeah.
And I over the next 2 years, I am going to be feverishly trying to complete my Sword and Shield master sets, because I believe that they're going to get very expensive. I think you are right? Don't take this as financial advice. I'm not even doing it for the value, because again, when I go to master set something, I don't think I've sold a single master set ever. And that's not really my plan, right? But I'm going to go buy before they get expensive. Yeah. Will I happen to pick up an extra copy or two? Maybe, right? That's how you finance your hobby. That's one of the, we talked about that earlier, is with the Chilly Rain stuff, is, you do buy in a little bit and try to hold some of it so that you can trade it for other things. That's the nature of the hobby. God, yeah. Or you could be a long-term scalper, right? Call me a long-term scalper.
Yeah, we're two expert long-term scalpers here, right? That's why we both don't have real jobs.
Exactly. So no, but one of the questions I had for you, I was thinking about this. I think the artwork, and then we have to come up with our final answer on which one we think is better between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. Mm-hmm. I think the artworks for Sword and Shield are better, but I might argue that the print quality and the textures are better in Scarlet and Violet than in Sword and Shield.
Ooh, okay, that is a very, very good point.
Do the illustration rares have a better texture all across the board than the trainer galleries?
I would say this. From the trainer galleries that I have, and you've seen my collection, I've got a lot of trainer galleries. I'm a big trainer gallery believer. The overall print quality of the trainer galleries was always higher than the alternate arts from Sword and Shield. The illustration rares, there's so many of them, right? And these sets were so big. Paldea Evolved was 190 or 215 cards. Surging Sparks was 230 cards. These are massive, massive sets that they were printing. And I think that the overall print quality wasn't as good for the illustration rares, right? In Scarlet and Violet.
Really?
I think the print quality was better. Now the texture, right? The actual card, or like texture of the cards. Yeah. Japanese, always better. Yeah, I would have to say the texture just looks better on the Scarlet and Violet era cards. But I
would agree.
And I think I'm going to give you my answer. I think my answer of which era is better, Sword and Shield versus Scarlet and Violet, I think I have to go with Scarlet and Violet, because when you compare, there were 17 sets from Sword and Shield, 15 sets from Scarlet and Violet after Black Bolt and White Flare releases. The first 4, maybe even first 5 sets of Sword and Shield, awful. They do not hold up to this day. They really don't, right? Name me the top pull from Rebel Clash.
Charizard? Is there Charizard in there? I actually don't know.
But that's my point, though, right? Sword and Shield base. The top pull is the Rainbow Snorlax VMAX. What's the top pull from Darkness Ablaze? Charizard. What's the top pull from Champion's Path? Charizard, right? I don't think those first 4 sets, even combined, hold a candle to Scarlet and Violet base. And I think that's because the Scarlet and Violet are standing on the later success of the Sword and Shield era. So I would have to say that the Scarlet and Violet era is better, but me personally, I want to collect Sword and Shield.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that Scarlet and Violet benefited from Sword and Shield. Mm-hmm. All the points you made, I agree. I genuinely think that they just tried to do more in Scarlet and Violet. The Destined Rivals stuff. The Black Bolt, White Flare having their own black and white cards. Sword and Shield were really solid, right? Really solid. And it had Shining Fates in there, so that was trying to build up Hidden Fates. Mm-hmm. Shining Fates was a debacle. Most people, if you weren't in the hobby at that time, Shining Fates, that was around that time. That was that first bubble pop where you couldn't get anything. And so the Pokemon Company's reaction to that was, let's just print this set to the moon. I've never seen a set printed the way Shining Fates was printed.
Yeah, there's Scarlet and Violet hasn't even compared ever to that.
No. It would be like them, they would be like them saying, hey, we're going to do 8 reprints of 151.
Yeah.
Like we're going to put so many Blooming Waters in the stores, you guys literally can't rip all the packs. That's what they tried to do with Shining Fates in response, and it didn't go well. So to your point, they realized value is a part of their product.
Yep.
So they've never done it since. And so I think, if you look at it, Scarlet and Violet as a series, it's better than Sword and Shield because they learned.
And
it is. I think that...
Continue.
No, go ahead.
No, continue.
I know, I was just going to say, I think that Scarlet and Violet as a series is better. I think that Sword and Shield's artworks are better, but they didn't market them correctly. They didn't do, this is a trainer card. They didn't do Team Rocket coming back. They didn't do anything like that. And so I think because of that, Scarlet and Violet's a better era. It just is.
Yeah, I already said it. Scarlet and Violet is my answer as far as which one is better. I would collect Sword and Shield, but another thing is just the mechanics a part of the game. People that don't play the TCG don't understand that some mechanics in the TCG are what's going to drive prices and demand. And the mechanic right now in Scarlet and Violet is trainer Pokemon, and their Pokemon. And now, granted, I know that's not a mechanic; it's more of a gimmick.
Is that better than V-Star?
It depends on who you ask, right? Because V-Star was very interesting.
Arceus V-Star was super cool when it came out.
Bro, so dope. Such a good card, right? But again, the biggest deck, a part of the Sword and Shield era, and the later deck was Lugia V-Star and Lost Box, right? Or Lost Zone, whatever you want to call it. And those they were all V-Star driven, and they had the V-Star mechanic, which is, I miss it. I really do. But
just saying, that was a sick mechanic. I'm just saying.
It was. And I guess the Terra mechanic of the Scarlet and Violet era is really nice, right? But Charizard being dark type, oh my god, it's so annoying. I hate it. Just because there's not like the best like grass attackers or Teal Mask Overpawn right now. And then the freaking ant Pokemon that I'm blanking on what the hell it's called.
Durant.
Durant, thank you. Wow, my god, I didn't ant Pokemon. Durant, idiot.
My boy KD.
Yeah,
Come on now.
But yeah, I think that the better the mechanic is, right, or the better the gimmick of the cards is, the higher the price is going to be. Which is why, the trainer Pokemon cards right now, right, like Team Rocket's Mewtwo that just released, is going to be one of the most expensive SIRs from the Scarlet and Violet era. The Scarlet and Violet era.
Yeah, I will say this. Last comment on this. I don't think any card in the Scarlet and Violet era, and I think you already made this point, will ever touch Moonbreon. I think that there are the ceilings of Scarlet or of Sword and Shield. You're looking at the Rayquaza VMAX alternate. Those will always be better than any card in the Scarlet and Violet era. So Sword and Shield, top heavy, going to have the best cards.
Yep.
Scarlet and Violet, better overall. That's what I'll say.
And I would say this. I could rattle off all the alt-arts that I think will never be touched by any card from the Scarlet and Violet era, except maybe the Zekrom and Reshiram. But like the alt-arts above them, right, are the Giratina, the Moonbreon, the Sylveon, the Lugia, I already said Giratina, yeah?
Yeah,
I already said Giratina. I'm sorry.
You can say it twice.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it's that good of an artwork. I'll even throw in the Umbreon V, because it's my personal favorite. I would say out of all, 80...
The Blaziken VMAX.
Yeah, I would say out of all 89 true alternate arts from the Scarlet, or from the Sword and Shield era, I'd say probably the top 15. Yeah. I would think those 15 will not be touched by, the majority of artworks in the Scarlet and Violet era. And I'm taking into account the Umbreon EX from Prismatic
Sunbreon.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. It's a moon. Its color is yellow. It's stupid. Okay. It's not the Sunbreon, it's the Moonbreon, but it's so stupid. I don't know why they did that. They literally stop putting it in front of a moon. And if you're gonna put it in front of a moon, make the moon red. Make it a blood moon. No, well then
it is the Moonlight Pokemon.
I know, but why was the moon yellow? So stupid. Anyway, but dude, there's one card that I know you're gonna like, and if you haven't looked this up, I want you to look this up after the podcast. But it's the Eternatus V Trainer Gallery card, because I think you had something that you wanted to talk about in regards to Eternatus.
Oh, are you talking about the Eternatus VMAX, the one that has Rose in front of it?
Yes, dude.
Chairman Rose?
Underrated. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Eternatus is an interesting concept. And you're right. There is something I want to talk about. Because, so I just wrapped up playing Global Go Fest. Well, kind of. I didn't play it much because I was at a basketball tournament. That's a different story.
Basketball's not as important as Pokemon.
Basketball's not as important as Pokemon, guys. Here, and it doesn't injure you as easily. But anyway, once they wrapped up Global Go Fest, some years they decide to do a Go Fest finale, and some years they don't.
Okay.
And it's usually like a month later because they do all this like ultra unlock stuff. So basically, like there's this worldwide challenge that if we raid a certain amount or if we catch a certain amount of Pokemon during the event, it opens up these week-long events for people. And at the end of those is the finale. Well, they just dropped the video, and it's like a 10-second clip. And it's Zamazenta and Zacian, who we just caught as a part of Global Go Fest, and they're running at something. And we all know what that is. Zacian and Zamazenta are the heroes of old on the darkest day that took down ETERNAMAX, right? Like, so we're getting Eternatus in Pokemon Go. I don't know if it's going to be Dynamax Eternatus or ETERNAMAX Eternatus, but I think it's going to be ETERNAMAX.
It's got to be.
And that's going to be wild, dude, because they've already mined some of the data, and ETERNAMAX, like the combat power for ETERNAMAX, is almost double the highest Pokemon CP right now, which is Zacian.
What's the highest Pokemon CP right now? Isn't it Zacian?
Zacian, just the newest Zacian, where if you change its form to be hero form or crowned form, it can hit 5,600, right? Which is by far the highest. To put that in perspective, Mewtwo caps out at like 4,700, like a fully leveled out Mewtwo.
Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, Zacian's busted right now. It's completely broken.
God.
The power creep in this game is unreal. But anyway, so the only way to get above Zacian is if you Mega Evolve Rayquaza. Rayquaza can get above it.
Yeah.
However, ETERNAMAX is coming in at a whopping 11,000 CP. Because its stats are unreal.
Well,
yeah.
I know its stats are crazy, especially when it's in Dynamax or ETERNAMAX form. But
yeah, it's stupid.
That is nuts. How would they incorporate that into Pokemon Go? Like, are they doing it as a raid boss? You think it'll be a special interaction? Like, what do you think is going to be the concept in regards to it? Because, again, like you said, Zacian and Zamazenta are the heroes of the Galar region after, correct me if I'm wrong, but spoiler alert, well, spoilers the whole time. But
from, like, Sword and
Eternatus,
Shield, yeah.
Yeah, but Eternatus, it absorbs all the energy of the Galar region. Eternamaxes, yeah? I might be wrong about that.
So Eternatus was the source of it. Eternatus is from like space or something. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
It's like an alien species, and we can here. Actually, let's do quick research here on this.
Just a quick question: is this moment in Pokemon Go's history going to revitalize it in a sense, right? And because the reason I asked that is I remember when Pokemon Go was dying down just a little bit, and this was right before the Hoenn Global Go Fest, and so many people were like,
yeah,
Hoenn Global Go Fest, Rayquaza, Kyogre, they were
Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon. I don't think that this will be enough. Okay. I think that, well, first of all, I don't know if it needs revitalized. I didn't realize we've already done a video on this of how popular the game is right now. I don't think that this is going to pull too many people back into it, just because anybody who is interested is probably already playing. Yeah. I think that they will have to find a way for us to weaken this thing. Like, I think that will be a part of the event, is like, go do this, go do that, it'll weaken it. They did give us some power with Zacian and Zamazenta, I'll say that. But, like, people don't realize this. Eternatus is one of the strongest legendaries in the base set games. It has a base set stat at 690. It is 10 off Arceus.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, this thing's nuts. It has 140 base HP, 145 special attack, and 130 speed. It
has 130 speed.
Its worst stat is its attack stat at 85, which is still pretty high.
Yeah, that's plenty.
So, like, yeah, this thing has a wild typing. It's the Poison Dragon typing.
And there's only
it's not
3 of them?
It's like Dragalge, and Skrelp, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's it. So its typing is fantastic. It doesn't have the fairy weakness because it has the poison. It's gonna be an absolute monster. And so I think that, yeah, we're going to have ways to weaken it, and we did get some power-ups, but, like, we'll find out, because the Gigantamax, Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur, when they dropped, it took 50 people to beat that thing.
I didn't know that. I don't think I rated that.
No, well, it was, most people failed. Like, you could go in with 50 people, and they had, if you didn't have like top counters, you would lose. So, you know, we have better Pokemon now because people have been doing max battles. You know, max legendaries, Zapdos, Articuno, Entei and Raikou and Suicune have come out. Like, we have a lot more power, so I think that will help. But do I think that this will bring some people back? Yes, because this is a wild time for Pokemon Go. Again, it's the highest CP key. The only Pokemon that's going to have a higher CP than this thing is either Arceus or Mega Mewtwo. Those are the only two I can think of.
Yeah.
So this is going to be one of the most powerful Pokemon. They might not even let us catch it. I have no idea. Maybe it's just we beat it and we don't get to catch it. I don't know.
What do you think the reward would be for beating that though? Like, what are you getting? I can't even remember the Sword and Shield games to think like what the reward would be for overall defeating ETERNAMAX ETERNATUS, you know, and like throwing Chairman Rose to the wolves.
Yeah, I mean in the Sword and Shield games, you know, what was happening was the Dynamax Pokemon were going crazy everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Like, basically, in places that it wasn't supposed to happen, you'd have a raging Dynamax Pikachu for no reason.
Yep.
And so that was because Eternatus' energy was going everywhere. We have had max battles and power spots, they're called power spots, just strewn throughout the world. So this could be how they're kind of turning that feature off. Is, hey, once you beat Eternatus, there's not going to be any more power spots. I don't know if that's a good thing. The mechanic hasn't been out that long, so I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll be honest, it feels a little early to be doing Eternatus, which is why I think that there's a chance that we're not doing Eternamax yet.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be Dynamax Eternatus, but I don't know.
Well, okay, now you've got me interested because if it was, so you say it's too early for Eternatus, right? Pokemon Go is basically caught up. Like, Sword and Shield was the last set, you know, last game, last TCG.
Well, it has all of Scarlet and Violet.
Yes, it has all of Scarlet and Violet, but in the end, when you think about where Pokemon Go was 9 years ago, bro, 2016, and where it is now today.
It's catching up.
Yeah. I mean, it's flying. So how long can you make people wait for Eternatus? And then again, when are they going to do the next, you know, Scarlet and Violet Community Day or whatever? What, you know, like Go Fest, the Scarlet and Violet Go Fest.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to happen within the next year?
Well, so they have some things they can fall back on. I agree with you that it's catching up.
Yeah.
But they haven't released Arceus. That's going to break the game. You want to talk about something that's going to bring people back. Like Arceus, I think that's what they do for GoFest next year. And I think that will allow them to prolong the introduction of Koraidon and Miraidon and the Paradox Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I think they still have about a 2-year lag time here because they haven't released Arceus, they haven't released Manaphy or Fion. So those are all still out to play. And I think Arceus does deserve his own GoFest. I'll be honest. Like, yes, it's God gets his own GoFest. And so it would be interesting to see if they're going to time that with anything, whether they choose to continue to wait or not. Age Slash still isn't in the game. That does not deserve its own GoFest. No. I have no idea why it's not in the games yet, but it isn't.
Well, it was like Kecleon not being in the games for, 5 years?
Yeah. I don't know. It makes no sense. And they make it super hard to catch Kecleon. It's not even good. But anyway, I think that it's a little early because I don't think they'll get rid of max battles yet. That's what I'll say. So the reward for beating Eternamax is probably going to be a Dynamax Eternatus. I think you could probably catch one. Maybe you can do a bunch of them because it's not really a mythical. So maybe they will let you do a bunch of them. That would be really cool. I actually think that would be super fun. I don't think that they'll get rid of it, so they'll probably let us catch it. Then the question will be, what do you do with max battles for the next year? They've kind of just been cycling megas. I don't know what they do with Dynamax. Dynamax doesn't do anything outside of Dynamax battles.
You know what? I agree on that, but I think I just realized what they're going to fall back on for next year, because I don't know if they want to release Arceus yet. With the release of Legend ZA, I can almost guarantee you they're going to make a Go Fest of just new Megas.
Oh,
right?
yeah. That's probably what they do.
Yeah. I mean, what other way do you slow down the rate at which, you've caught the Pokemon?
They did that with Hisui.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you do need to kind of relax a little bit because they need to build the hype for Gen 10. And the idea that we can have Gen 10 approaching in the next
and the holy typing
year.
and Arceus Unleashed.
Right, but that right there. Wouldn't that correspond? Well, I'm telling you, dude, I'm telling you. I was on one. I was thinking about it. You kind of like.
I think I'll be honest. I do think we're onto something. That Arceus is tied to Gen 10 in some way.
No,
the more we talk about it, the more clear it becomes. And maybe everybody else has figured this out, and you and I are late to the party. But
no, we're not.
I don't know.
We're always will be.
But yeah. So anyway, we'll get more details here, throughout the next month or so on what the Pokemon Go Fest Max finale looks like. But I am almost positive it's going to have Eternatus in it. If you look at the logo, it has like his scales, basically, like it's all the same color scheme. Yeah, so I'm almost positive he's coming. Plus, like I said, Zacian and Zamazenta, it just makes sense. That's who they fight. So it just makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're just connecting dots that, anybody could connect. But I do think, dude, that Gen 10 speculation, I know we already did it, but I think we've truly linked something there that the Pokemon Company already knew about, and it was probably leaked somewhere. But I think that's incredible to realize that Gen 10 might be the thing that brings everybody back into some part of Pokemon, whether that's the TCG, the VGC, or Pokemon Go.
Now, one other thing to consider too is, Arceus isn't in Pokemon Go yet, and neither is Manaphy and Fion. I'm gonna look at them real quick.
Have they incorporated anything to do with the Pokemon Rangers? I always thought that was a great team in the anime, and they never.
We still have Team Rocket.
And that's another thing. Is like Pokemon Go. If you wanted to advance with the times, why not introduce the villain as you went on in these new regions, right? You could have Team Rocket at the same time that you have Team Star, that you have Galactic. I mean, I never understood why they didn't do that.
I didn't either. I mean, and again, we keep talking about how Pokemon Go is catching up. There's a lot of things they could go do that are backtracking.
Yeah, it's like a side quest.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you could easily do an entire event around Team Galactic, Team Magma and Aqua, you know what I'm saying? So, Niantic and now Scopely have always said that Pokemon Go is meant to be a forever game.
Yeah.
So we're never getting a Pokemon Go 2. So I think that it eventually we'll probably get all the stuff that we're talking about.
One thing I was sitting here thinking about the villains. What I think would be really unique is them to do like a Team Magma, Team Aqua thing, and it's like, hey, Team Magma, Team Aqua, we are trying to crush the world or whatever, and like your Groudon, like Team Aqua shuts down your Kyogre in your party. Like you can't use Kyogre for any reason. Team Magma shuts down your Groudon because if you release it, right, it goes on a rampage. Where like if you make it your buddy, okay, if I were to make Groudon my buddy during this event, it would immediately cause terror. Like it would, decimate the Pokemon in the vicinity, and then you would have to battle your own Kyogre or Groudon and to get it back in your party. Something like that.
This is so involved.
No,
they're never gonna do that. That's so much code.
Bro, I'm sorry.
That's so funny. No, it would be. It would be super cool. It would be super cool, but it'd be so much work for one mechanic.
Who gives a crap, man? Come on. It's a forever game, dude.
Pokemon knocking out other Pokemon in the overworld is like a completely mechanic.
You don't have to make them knock them out. It can just be like all Pokemon in the vicinity have disappeared, right? Then just give them the.
That's fair.
Yeah,
You wipe the spawns.
Yes, you wipe the spawns. There you go. All right, not a bunch of code, but as soon as you.
No, that's not what you were picturing. You were picturing this Groudon running around and slapping stuff down. I know you.
No, I wasn't picturing that, but now I want it. Now I want that Groudon walking by going whack, 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 whack. No, dude, I think that'd be a real interesting dynamic, bro. And like bring them in every time they join in,
It's gonna be interesting. I'm very excited. It's in August. I'm gonna be playing it, obviously.
Well, either which way, dude. I mean, we know that they're coming out with something spectacular soon, whether it's next year, in 2 years, whatever, and Pokemon being a forever game. Yeah, bro, I think at some point we're going to think they're going to fail us, but, I mean, come on, we can still hold out hope, especially if my Groudon smacking little Pokemon.
Yeah. All they have to do is go back and watch this podcast, and they'll have limitless ideas that they could be doing that everyone will love because we're geniuses. Duh.
Hey, Pokemon, I don't have a job, so I could use one.
I do, but I would switch and work for Pokemon. I would.
I'd 100%, bro. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us on today's episode 5 of the Critical Hitz Podcast. My name is Pokey Scout.
I am Genelite Gaming.
And this is Critical Hitz! You guys have a very lovely day. Brother, I love you.
Thank you. Love y'all.
Peace.